welcome into another Daily Wager digital segment. I am Doug Kazarian, joined by Anita Marks as well as Joe Fortenbaugh. Today, a Tom Brady flavor to the NFL preview. We're going to be focusing on two divisions, the NFC South, Brady's new division, and his former division, the AFC East. We'll get to the AFC and maybe a door open for the Buffalo Bills, but I want to go to Brady's new digs with the Bucs. And no surprise, they are favored to reach the postseason, minus $1.55, yes, at Caesars Sportsbook. A win total of 9. Pretty interesting, given it's expected to be competitive, at least at the top, with the Saints there, and given what they did last year. And, Joe, I want to start with you in terms of your kind of thoughts on this. Remember, an extra playoff berth. We'll have 3 wild card teams this year. How do you see this panning out with the Bucs and Brady's new team?
I'm going to be fading the Brady hype this season, so I'm going under 9 wins. I'm also going to play no on the playoffs at plus 135. Are we sure a 43-year-old Tom Brady is that much of an upgrade over Jameis Winston? The people who answer that question, yes, are going to point to Winston's turnovers. He had 35 last season between the INTs and the fumbles. But is Brady going to lead the league in passing? Is Brady going to rank second in the league in touchdown passes? Because that's what Jameis Winston brought to the table as well. A lot of the focus here is going to be on Brady changing the culture. I want to bring something up. Tampa Bay has had a really bad culture for a really long time. They haven't made the playoffs since 2007, and at the same time, they haven't won a playoff game since 2002. 5 head coaches since John Gruden has left. Culture takes time. Learning playbooks, building rapport take time. Brady's the man for the job, but I think it takes 2 years. I'm going to fade the hype this season and go under 9 wins and bet him to miss the playoffs, Doug.
All right, so 500 or worse to cash that ticket of under 9. Anita, what about you?
Yeah, I apologize for the dogs. As you know, I have 5.
What do you mean apologize?
You hear them barking. I'm sorry, Joe. But Joe, I totally agree with you. Listen, you're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. This is not the AFC East for Tom Brady. He's 43 years old. And probably the biggest thing that stands out for me is his offensive line, or that of a subpar offensive line in Tampa, as opposed to what he was working with in Tampa Bay. Last year, ranked 22nd in pass protection. And just to give you a few numbers, I know, Doug, we talked about this a few weeks ago, right? In New England, Tom Brady was sacked 28 times last year. In Tampa Bay, Jameis Winston was sacked 47, and probably an even bigger issue is the knockdowns, right? Knocked down 86 times in New England last year. In Tampa Bay, Jameis Winston was knocked down 103. Now, you're talking about a quarterback who's 43 years old, again, is going to have limited time in regard to getting ready for the season behind an offensive line and not a lot of mobility. So for me, the biggest thing is the offensive line, and you know, not a lot of depth at the running back position, which we know Tom Brady is used to. So I'm with you. I say under on 9 wins and will not make the playoffs at plus 135, which I think is pretty good value.
All right, well, I'm on the opposite side, guys. I just like the yes, not the over win totals. I like the yes. 3 playoff. There's gonna be 3 other wild card teams better than they are. I just don't see. I think it's gonna be a different team. To Joe's point, we're not gonna have the volume of points and yards, but I do think this team's a lot better defensively. They were a lot better statistically as well last year. Let's now switch gears to the team that's expected to win the division. The New Orleans Saints, 10.5 is the win total in the Big Easy, and a yes/no of minus 310 to make the postseason. So got to go 11-5, Anita, to make the playoffs as they bring back Drew Brees on a new deal.
Yeah, I love this wager, and I'm on the over here. My algorithm this season heading into 2020 is teams, because of COVID-19, teams that have a little change in regard to head coach or quarterback, and teams that have excellent coaches. And I love Sean Payton. You've got Drew Brees coming back for one last hurrah. I love the addition of Emmanuel Sanders in that wide receiving core. I love the addition of Malcolm Jenkins' veteran leadership in the secondary. They do have a first-round pick. I see them either going wide receiver or corner. Their schedule at home is very favorable. So I love the Saints this year, and I love the over 10.5 wins, and I do expect them to go to the playoffs, even though it's a lot of juice laying that bet down.
Yeah, Joe, over would be the only side I would play here just because of that prolific offense and the weapons they could add in the draft. What about you?
I'm not saying I'm going to bet against the Saints this year, but I know as of right now, I have no interest in betting on them. There are several indicators pointing to a possible regression here, or a likely regression, I should say, for the Saints. They were 7-1 in one-score games last season, and they were plus 15 in turnover differential, which is second in the NFL. If those two numbers regress back towards the norm, they're not going to get anywhere close to where they were last season. Drew Brees at 41 years old, it's great that he has Emmanuel Sanders, but can he still throw the deep ball? A lot of questions here for a team that would need to win 11 games. For me, it's a bet against or it's a pass here, Doug.
It's a great point about Brees, because last year Teddy Bridgewater was so critical in that middle of the season, and the year prior, Brees' arm sort of faded down the stretch when he had to play a full season. Now to a team in the division that will not have a quarterback in his 40s. This is the Atlanta Falcons. And here we go again. 7.5 is the win total for Atlanta. And Joe, it's the old Godfather line. As soon as I think I'm out, they pull me back in. It's so tempting because on paper, they have an explosive offense.
I'm with you, Doug, and I'm going to play the over here at 7.5. This is a 7-win outfit from last season that played exactly like you would expect a 7-win outfit to play. They were -5 in turnover differential. They were -18 in scoring differential. They were 3-4 in one-score games. I think Raheem Morris getting a full year as the team's defensive coordinator, coupled with some really young first-round picks on the offensive line from last year that have a chance to season heading into this season, plus the addition of tight end Hayden Hurst, that's enough for one more win, in my opinion, which is why I'm going to play the over at 7.5 on the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I'm quitting the Falcons just because, I'm bullish on the Bucs. I feel kind of weird not having Preston here to talk about Atlanta futures, or at least sell Atlanta futures on the positive side. Anita, what about you? Where do you stand?
Yeah, I mean, maybe just a small lean on the under here because, well, Tampa Bay, as we know, they do get better with Tom Brady. I think it's going to be a more competitive division. This is a team that could not pressure the quarterback, only 28 sacks last year. I know they get Dante Fowler, okay, but is one man going to be a wrecking crew to change that around? Also, on the road, their schedule is difficult. Green Bay, the Vikings, Dallas, and Kansas City. So I think this number is right at it. So I'm going just a little bit a lean on the under 7.5.
Let's now wrap up the division with another team that changed quarterbacks in the offseason. The Cam Newton era is done in Carolina, as is the Ron Rivera era. And it's now Matt Rule with Teddy Bridgewater. Fun fact, Bridgewater, the best ATS record of any quarterback in the Super Bowl era. But this is all about the futures market. 5.5 is the win total, Anita.
Yeah, I'm going under here. And as I said earlier, when we were talking about the Saints, I'm putting a lot of value in teams that have very little change, whether it's head coach or quarterback. And as you just stated, Doug, this team has both in Matt Rule and Teddy Bridgewater. Matt Rule, I think he's a good head coach. I think he'll be a great NFL coach, but a slow start when you look at his programs in college. At Temple, started off 2-11. At Baylor, started off 1-10. Not a lot of veterans on this ball club. Greg Olson's not there anymore. It's a young squad. So I just think this is going to be a building year for this organization. So I'm going under 5.5.
Yeah, that would be the only side I would play, Joe, just because, as I mentioned earlier, I'm bullish on the Bucs, and the Saints should be there near the top as well.
So the consensus opinion here is that this team is going to be terrible this season. And I can understand why, but they won 5 games last year despite ranking 29th in turnover differential. And they were also 2-6 in one-score games. A lot of people think they're going to tank, but they just went out and signed Teddy Bridgewater. They gave Christian McCaffrey a ton of money, and they acquired Robbie Anderson at wide receiver. They also have a top 10 draft pick. Matt Rule has been very successful everywhere he's gone. I'm not going to make the case for Carolina shocking the world and winning 10 games, but I don't have enough evidence in front of me to tell me that they're going to be a terrible football team this year. So at -750 on the no for the playoffs, that's a pass for me, Doug.
Yeah, as a guy who had Oakland no with a hefty price last year and Lillard's got to sweat that one out mid-season, I certainly can't fault you at all. And as I mentioned earlier, let's talk about Tom Brady's former conference. And the conversation starts with the Patriots, who've just been perennially dominating this division, but with no Brady, little uncertainty here. 8.5 is your win total, favored to go the postseason, -190. I'll say it again, an extra wild card team. But Anita, we don't really know who's going to play quarterback. Is it going to be a rookie? Is it going to be Jarrett Stidham or even Brian Hoyer or one of those free agent quarterbacks out there, maybe even a trade with Andy Dalton? A lot of uncertainty. For me, I can't get involved here because I love Belichick, but I just don't know who's going to play QB.
Yeah, I mean, everything that I'm hearing, it's leaning more towards Jared Stidham. And listen, I started the Jared Stidham fan club. I think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback, just not his first year. Whether it's him or Brian Hoyer, they have a very difficult schedule. Look at some of the teams that they're going to be playing. You've got Kansas City, San Francisco, the Ravens, Seattle. No tight end. On top of Tom Brady leaving, a few defensive players left, especially their linebacking core. They bolted for Detroit and Miami to join forces with their former defensive coordinators that are now head coaches. So I'm looking at the under here. I just think this is going to be a push the reset button for the Patriots. As difficult as that is for Patriot fans to digest, I just don't think this is the year for them, Doug.
I can't fault you, but I'm not going to jump in, Joe. We've counted out the Patriots in the past. Remember the Deflategate, those first 4 games, they certainly looked good. Jimmy G was there, of course, but where do you sit on this?
I'm not going to lie. The idea of betting against Bill Belichick is a bit unnerving. It's like going for a swim in the Everglades. You really can't trust what lies beneath the surface. But I'm with Anita. I'm going to bet the under on the win total. I'm going to bet no on the playoffs. This is a 12-4 team from last year that only garnered 3 wins against teams with a winning record. They beat a lousy Philadelphia team that was banged up, and they beat a Buffalo team twice. That's it. The rest of those wins came against 8 teams that combined to go 43-85. That's a winning percentage of 33%. Anita hit on it. Last year, they crossed over against a weak NFC East conference division, I should say. This year, it's the NFC West. Number 1 total defense, number 1 scoring defense, number 1 in turnover differential. Those metrics aren't going to hold this year. This isn't necessarily going to be a rebuild, in my opinion, but it is going to be a step back from what we know about the Patriots.
All right. You guys have stronger stomachs than I do. Remember, he went 11-5 with Matt Castle as his quarterback. Different era. I know, different weapons. Just saying. Now, the team that's expected to maybe replace the Patriots atop the division is the Buffalo Bills. 9 is a season win total and juice to go to the postseason like they did last year, -$2. And Joe, I know your wife's a member of Bills Mafia. I just want to remind everyone, a year ago, I was all about Buffalo in the spring, +500 to go to the postseason. I say that because I'm on the under and the no to reach the postseason. I love McDermott. I love the defense, but it's a lot to ask for a team that's going to face the NFC West, and that includes at Arizona, not home to Arizona. So there's no layups in that schedule. Also, the AFC East can be tricky. And I also think within the division, not just the Pats, but Dolphins and Jets will be a little friskier than we remember. Last year was off the rails with New York. Not that I love the Jets and Adam Gase, but Sam Darnold, not mono. It could be a friskier team. Joe, I'm on the under and the no on the Bills. It's just too much correction here in the market.
I was with you last year. I'm with you this year. I liked him at 8-1 to win the division. It wasn't a winning bet, but it was a sign of things to come. Now the Bills are the hunted rather than the hunter, and I'm not sure how they're going to respond. They've only got to 10 wins one time this millennium. This is a team last year that scored 17 or fewer points in 9 games. They're good, but they had the NFC East last year. This year they get the NFC West in the crossover. And they acquired Stephon Diggs. Everyone's going to be very excited about him at wide receiver. If he couldn't make it work with Kirk Cousins, who was completing 70% of his passes last year, how is he going to make it work with Josh Allen, who was at the bottom of the league in completion percentage at 59%? A lot of question marks here for a team that needs to get to 10 wins. I'm on the underdog. I'm with you.
Clearly, your wife's running errands, going to the grocery store right now, because you would talk that loudly and effectively and negatively about Josh Allen. Nita, where do you stand?
Yeah, I love the over here. Are you kidding me? This is probably one of my favorite over-under bets. Sean McDermott, I think, a great head coach. You've got Josh Allen coming in for his 3rd season, feeling really comfortable. Devin Singletary, his running back, coming in for his 2nd season. I'm a believer in Stephon Diggs. This wide receiving core, on top of that, their defense was great last year. 2nd in least points scored, 3rd in least yards given up, and the defense gets better. They were active and attractive in free agency to pump up that defense. And granted, yes, the schedule is going to be a little bit difficult, but how about this? This is their home games. The most difficult opponents they play at home, that's Kansas City, Seattle, and the Rams. I love the over here. I think the Bills, I think they win the division and they go to the playoffs. And you know what? They make a deep run in the playoffs.
Ooh. All right, so you're drinking the Kool-Aid on the Bills. I can't fault you, though. I can't blame you.
Mafia, baby, mafia.
So Anita's excited about the Mafia. What about Gang Green, the Jets? As I mentioned, Sam Darnold, the season went off the rails with mono and everything like that. So this year's win total is 6.5, +450 on the yes. I wonder what would have happened. Many Jets fans do too, Joe, if they didn't lose that week 1 game against the Bills when they had the big lead, and also if mono never occurred for Darnold. So clean slate here. Where do you sit on this one?
This is what I call a beer money bet. I would definitely take a shot on the Jets for a little bit of beer money over 6.5 wins. They got to 7 last year, and Darnold missed 3 games with mono, and they had a disastrous start to the season. Look at how they closed, though, Doug. They were 1-7 over their first 8. They closed 6-2. It's another year in Adam Gase's system. It's year 3 for Sam Darnold. This is a team that, when Darnold as a rookie was -10 in turnover differential, they cleaned it up a bit last year and got to -4. If they continue making progress in that direction, I definitely see them getting over 6.5. They did it last year. They can do it again.
And it was a team that beat the Cowboys at home as well. That was a signature win for that team in that back half of the season, as you alluded to, Anita.
Yeah, I'm not a really big believer in Adam Gase, with all due respect. And
You're not alone.
And this team, regardless of how healthy Sam Darnold is going to be, he has no offensive line. Robbie Anderson, as we just said a minute ago, he took his talents to Carolina. They need wide receiver help. They have probably one of the worst secondaries in regard to corners. They need corner help. They need offensive. There's only so much Joe Douglas, their GM, can do with this draft. I don't think they did enough in free agency. So I still think the Jets are a year away. So I'm going under here, and I do not think they make it to the postseason.
All right, can't fault you on that one at all. They are expected to compete at the cellar of the division there. And with the Jets at the bottom of the division is the Miami Dolphins, who last year we thought may not win a game, and then all of a sudden they won a handful of games, including upsetting the Patriots in Week 17 to definitely disrupt the AFC playoff picture. Dolphins 6 is your win total, plus 500 to make the playoffs. Fitzmagic still in South Beach, but they could draft a quarterback and have a rookie starting this season. A lot of uncertainty there. Anita, where do you stand with the mammals? Not the fish. Come on, everyone. They're mammals.
I know, I grew up in Miami catching dolphin, but not the mammal. Anyway, I have a small lean on the over here. A lot's going to really depend on who the Dolphins selected the quarterback position. You know, I'm hoping they go Justin Herbert over Tua, but even so, whoever they draft, maybe they start with Fitzmagic. Listen, this is a team that finished strong. I love Flores. Guys play really hard for him. Let's recall, they did beat the Patriots toward the end of the season. They've got 14 draft picks, 3 in the first round. They did some really, I call it magic in free agency. I like the players that they sign, especially on the defensive side of the ball. A small lean on the over. I'm pretty hopeful with this Dolphins team this season.
Yeah, Joe, I think they're frisky. I like what Flores is doing, but they can easily finish last here. So it's a pass for me. What about you?
Totally understandable. I side with Anita. If I'm going to play anything here, I'm going to play the over. Look at how they started last season. 0-7, losing by an average of 23 points per game. Over the final 9 games, they went 5-4 and took down playoff teams in New England and Philadelphia. Then they go out and they sign Byron Jones at corner, giving them the most expensive corner tandem in the league. And they add Kyle Van Noy at linebacker, who can come in and bring some great leadership to a team that's going to need to learn how to close out games late. 5 picks in the top 56. I like the Dolphins. I'm leaning to the over here, Doug.
And especially for me, we know their opponents. We don't know their schedule. They have such an advantage in September with that heat. They make the opponents wear dark jerseys. We don't know who it's going to be if it's people out of the division. So I'm going to wait on that one. Time for best bets. Anita, will go to you, leading off here.
Yeah, I think, did I make it perfectly clear? My favorite over-under.
Mafia.
That's right. Bills Mafia, baby. I love the Bills. Over 9 wins. Again, Josh Allen coming to his 3rd season. Love the head coach. Love the addition of Diggs. Love what they've done in free agency in regard to the defense, and their schedule favorable at home. I love the Bills. This division, the AFC East, is open for the taking, and I think the Bills run away with it.
All right, so you have a passing of the torch in the division. Joe, what about you?
Tampa Bay under 9 wins, Doug. I think it's going to take some time to change the culture. This is a team that's had 5 head coaching changes since John Gruden. They haven't been to the playoffs since 2007. They haven't won a playoff game since 2002. Brady's 43 years old, and while some will say he's an upgrade over Winston because he's not going to commit 35 turnovers, is he going to lead the league in passing? Is he going to finish the season ranked 2nd in touchdown passes? I think year 1's going to have more hiccups than people anticipate. Under 9 wins for the Buccaneers.
All right, I'm a little bit opposite of you. I'm going yes on the postseason. 9 wins could get you there. 3 wild card teams, I think they can be one of them. I love what Brady's going to do. He's obviously, it's a margin of error is very slim in the NFL. We know that. Can't turn the ball over like Winston did. So I don't think 3 other wildcard teams are going to get there ahead of them. So that's going to do it for us. Again, 2 divisions today. We're going to continue this offseason look at win totals and yes, no in terms of the future market. And we can bet the yes on this thing being gone the next time we have a segment.